The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. At least 6 new research and development projects are set to be launched in the Philippines. These will serve as foundation studies of the proposed Virology and Vaccine Institute. That's according to Science and Technology Department Secretary Fortunato de la Peña. In his Bayanihan report, de la Peña said the R&D studies are regarding common viruses with medical importance and pandemic potential for antibody studies, multi-drug resistant bacteria, food and waterborne bacterial pathogens, and Zika-related diagnostics and vaccine research. All of these studies are to be implemented by the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, while 2 COVID-19-related research are to be done with St. Luke's Medical Center and the RITM. De la Peña said the budget department has already approved a total of 284 million pesos for the 6 R&D studies. Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan or PDP Laban, Vice Chairman Alfonso Cusi has continued his push for a National Council Assembly. This is despite calls from a quote minority of the party mates to skip the event. In a statement, Cusi pointed out the need to assess where the party is in its support for President Duterte, who sits as the party chairman. He also tries to assure Party President Senator Manny Pacquiao that the meeting on Monday is not related to the upcoming elections. In an interview with the Chiefs, PDP Laban Executive Director Ron Munsayak stressed that any resolution that will come from the National Council meeting is unofficial. Munsayak explained that such gatherings must be sanctioned by the party chairman and the president.
Sa mata po ng liderato ng partido, sa mata ng karamihan na aming mga kapartido, sa mata po ng constitution bylaws ng partido natin, wala pong assembly, walang council meeting na mangyayari on Monday. Anything na mapag-usapan doon is unofficial.
The Commission on Elections is close to meeting its target voter registrants of over 60 million ahead of the 2022 elections. COMELEC Commissioner Antonio Co. Jr. said the poll body expects to register over 60 million voters in the coming months. Co added that the Commission is intensifying its registration campaign through e-registro, where applicants can download their application forms and satellite registrations. Now, along with this, the COMELEC is considering setting different dates for the filing of certificate of candidacies in order to avoid crowding at its offices. COMELEC may also implement longer voting hours on the election day. But Co noted that they will still encourage voters to avoid going to poll stations during rush hours. He added that COMELEC officials are still discussing if the measure will be applied on a case-to-case basis or if it will be a blanket regulation.
Pinag-uusapan na yan sa loob ng COMELEC, no? Chances are mag-extend kami ng voting hours, no? Almost, probably I can say almost sure that we will extend voting hours. Ang di lang namin na desisyonan kung this would be a blanket thing for entire presinto natin, no? Pwede rin kasing case-to-case basis, depende yan kung isang voting center ay maraming tao o kaya i-allow namin lahat. Pag-uusapan pa yan.
In addition, the COMELEC plans to put up isolated polling areas to ensure safety of voters. Voters who registered a body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius and above will be brought to a separate place. This is to ensure that they are still able to practice their right to vote while ensuring the safety of others.
Kung talagang mataas ang kanyang temperature, lalagpas ng 37.5, hindi ho siya papuntahin doon sa kanyang presinto. Meron ho kaming special precinct, ang tinatawag ho natin isolated polling place, doon ho siya boboto. So, yun ho, para lang hindi makahalo siya sa ibang tao. But we will also give him or give her the right to vote.
The Gilas Pilipinas men's basketball team received their first shot of the COVID-19 vaccine prior to the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers. They joined around 500 national athletes who were vaccinated yesterday as part of the government's vaccination program. Gretchen Ho with the story.
41-year-old para-trackster Gerald Mangliwan can now breathe a sigh of relief. He just had his first jab of Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine. The wheelchair racer is vying for a slot in the Tokyo Summer Paralympic Games.
Ako inaantay ko rin na magkaroon ng ganito kasi alam ko ito yung isa sa mga paraan para bumalik po dun sa dati yung ginagawa natin kasi kaya ngayon daming restriction.
He is the first vaccinated athlete in the Philippine Olympic Committee-led and IATF-sanctioned vaccination program for our national athletes.
More than 500 national athletes, coaches, officials, support staff, and members of the press from over 30 sports will be inoculated today in Manila in time for the Tokyo Olympics and the Southeast Asian Games.
Included in the lineup are teams from basketball, volleyball, cycling, skateboarding, sepak takraw, track and field, triathlon, and badminton, just to name a few. SEA Games host country Vietnam recently imposed a no vaccine, no play policy for athletes. Tokyo, on the other hand, has not required vaccination for Olympic athletes.
Feels great, to have that layer of protection. A lot of sports are back to play, and so they are going to be traveling in the next few months, especially with the SEA Games coming up and having to do their international exposure. So it's honestly, like, we're very thankful. All the athletes here are very thankful to have this protection.
Although he's been to Tokyo recently for his qualifying tournament, first-time Olympian rower Chris Nieves says this shot will give him added confidence in preparing for the Games.
Alam namin na medyo protektado na kami at makapag-training ng maayos na.
POC President Bambol Tolentino says they're looking at doing another batch of inoculations for athletes who weren't able to come and for those who are not yet included in the lineups.
Frontliners din itong mga atleta natin, locally or internationally. Sila naman nagbigay ng karangalan at magbibigay ng karangalan sa bansa.
Gretchen Ho, we are One News.
Politics pose an obstacle on uncovering COVID-19 origins. That's according to the World Health Organization as it urges nations to give scientists space to work on solving the mystery. This after U.S. President Joe Biden ordered the U.S. Intelligence Committee to investigate whether the COVID-19 virus first emerged in China from an animal source or from a laboratory incident. Meanwhile, EU countries also pressed on clarity on the next steps in the organization's efforts to solve the mystery. But even as the organization is facing intensifying pressure for a more in-depth investigation of where COVID-19 came from, so far there is no timeline for the next stage in the probe. Protection gained from COVID-19 vaccines are expected to wane with time, and many see COVID booster shots becoming a yearly necessity. How long will current COVID vaccines protect people? Bloomberg's Carrie Goldberg tells us in this video.
Well, we know that the vaccines are incredibly effective. I focused in part on people who have immune issues and who therefore can't know how well the vaccine protects them. And they face this real dilemma, which is that scientists don't yet have a way to know exactly how good your protection is at an individual level. And so many people who have immune problems can't feel free again, even though they've got vaccines already. And so that's an issue that is for a particular part of the population. It's actually more than 10 million Americans who have immune problems. But you can also project it forward to all of us because we know that our vaccine immunity will fade. We just don't know exactly when, and we don't have a way to know when, sort of like a gas gauge, when our vaccine immunity has gotten low.
So Carrie, what does that mean that we're going to start to see at some point the nurses and the doctors who were among those who got the first shots potentially become infected with COVID at a time that is fixed after that first or second shot?
Well, we don't know that it's a fixed time. Like, part of the issue right now is that we don't know. We know that immunity wanes, but we don't know exactly when. We know that it's good for at least a few months, according to all the data that's come out so far. But we don't know when exactly it will start fading significantly. But some people are saying that it could be as early as this fall that the doctors and nurses and elders who got the first wave of vaccinations could start seeing more breakthrough infections and less immunity.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 2:15 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.